And I'm thinking, honey, you're in Indonesia, okay? We're not in Italy. Things are going to be a little bit different. I'm just kind of waiting to meet a person that makes me want to choose a country. When you go to Bali, Bali's very aesthetic, very beautiful, very Instagram. But because I'm kind of yearning for connection now, to be a little bit less bored here, the life of a digital nomad, what is it really like to travel the world and work online? Because this is my 6th year. So when you guys say, why are you out here in Vietnam? Why are you not out here in Vietnam? Oh my God, I think I'm getting a bit sassy towards the end of this podcast episode. I hope you guys forgive me. Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Unapologetically Yourself podcast, where you can literally film from your bathtub if it so pleases you. I have put on TV blush. What I mean by that is an obscene amount of blush, just so it's visible for you guys, the viewers at home, and you don't think I'm actually dying. That being said, I do TV blush literally every day anyway. I don't know if anyone else gets a bit like blush blind, but yeah, it's gonna be super heavy on my face in the morning, just so during the day, there'll be some left. I'm gonna do a little side swoop for the beginning part of this episode, because why the hell not? Anyway, welcome guys to the Unapologetically Yourself podcast. Today, I've actually curled my hair. I went to go get my hair curled here in Da Nang. I'm based in Vietnam for the next couple of weeks before moving to Bali. I've decided I'm leaving Vietnam, and we can definitely talk about why. But just for context, I got my beautiful hair done. I got it washed, I got it cut, I got it curled for the equivalent of $6. So when you guys say, why are you out here in Vietnam? Why are you not out here in Vietnam? Just saying. No, but I really do like the ladies. This isn't, for example, the standard price everywhere. There are places where you can pay hundreds of dollars, and then there are places that you can pay $6. When I was first looking to get my hair done, I'm gonna admit it, I was looking for somewhere a little cheap and cheerful. But you know what they say? If you pay cheap, you pay twice. And yeah, they damaged the fuck out of my hair. So that is accurate. But we just kind of had good relations, me and the ladies, the local Vietnamese ladies. And so I did say to them, I'm gonna go back again one time next week before my brand shoot, so we can do some business before I leave. So next week's brand shoot is essentially going to be me posing in cute little outfits to have pictures to represent this podcast, and then also my marketing brand, so that I have some fancy headshots. I don't know about you guys, but I've been procrastinating super hard lately. My laptop screen broke. I don't want a neck. Life is great, and I'm sending you all the best vibes ever. But just for me personally, in this 5 second, this is a safe space, okay guys? It's safe. So yeah, I've just been having such a bad time with tech, and I don't know if it's a retrograde, if something's going on, but I definitely did not deserve to have my laptop screen break again. When you're in Asia, you can get your computers fixed anywhere. But of course, if you have Apple Care, you're gonna have to go to an Apple store, which for me means waiting 2 weeks for them to fix it, or just flying to Kuala Lumpur and getting them to fix it in a couple of days. So that is essentially what I'm gonna have to do, but I am pretty annoyed by it because I just did a visa run. I was gonna make this episode about hookup culture and what we think about hookup culture, and I realize now I'm talking about Vietnam, I'm gonna talk about Bali. So let's just make this episode, the life of a digital nomad. What is it really like to travel the world and work online? Because this is my 6th year. I would like to say that I pioneered. No, I would like to say I really was one of the first people in the industry, the first singular person. No, but one of the first women in the world to be working online. Definitely the first in my bloodline, that's for sure. Okay, we've decided the plan is set in the bathtub, the magic of the bathtub. Thank you for being here with me on this magical journey. But let's talk about being a digital nomad. Have you ever considered it? Are you a nomad yourself? What does the lifestyle look like? Is it worth it? Let's fucking dig in. The first thing I am going to mention is visa runs, because I mentioned this just a couple of seconds ago, and I realized you might not know what a visa run is. Essentially, when you're traveling the world, there's going to be certain visas that you need to enter certain countries depending on your passport. So the UK and the US, European, passports typically have very good coverage, but always check. In the UK, we have a site, gov.uk, where you can actually click on every country and it will tell you the entry requirements. It'll tell you if there's anything that you need to be aware of. For example, when I traveled to Nicaragua in 2020, the warning for Nicaragua by the UK government said, they actually had a big protest 5 years ago and a tourist got shot, right? So that's sort of the information that it says. And it said, political unrest, be cautious. But then when I went to Nicaragua, it was absolutely fine. So obviously these things are just to give you a bit of background of the country, just so you can kind of know where you're going. That being said, Asia, I feel the most safe in Asia. I've been to Mexico many times, Colombia, Costa Rica, and I just feel so safe in Vietnam, in Thailand, in Bali. Of course, there's going to be petty crime anywhere, but for me personally, as a female, a solo female traveler, these places have been nothing but kind and wonderful and super safe. I actually feel safer walking home at 2 a.m. in any of those countries I just listed versus walking home at 2 a.m. in England. A visa run, let's get back to the point. A visa run is basically when you need to leave leave the country because your allotted time has ended. In these countries, they love tourists, so you can literally leave the country and come back in the same day if you wanted to, and it's totally fine. So it's just a way for them to make money, I suppose, keep account of the amount of people in each place. When you go to Bali, you can arrive and get a visa on arrival, and this is, I'm gonna say, 30 days. But if you do the e-visa before you get there, you can actually do the e-visa, which is up to 2 months, I'm pretty sure. So there's different ways to do it. You can go to Bali, visa on arrival, they'll give you 30 days, and then if you want to extend, there are offices inside Bali to extend, right? To extend for the maximum another 30 days. I think it's maximum 2 months, and then you kind of have to leave and come back in, right? It'll be maximum 1 month if you don't extend. Hopefully you guys are following me here. So be warned though, if you do the visa on arrival in Bali, you're going to be queuing for ages. If you do the e-visa, it's more money because you get 2 months up front, but then you can live for 2 months in Bali. You don't have to go to an office midway to renew it. So that's the beauty of doing the e-visa before you arrive. No queues, no hassle, 2 months. If you do the visa on arrival, you get 30 days, but you will need to extend it if you wish to stay longer. So it definitely depends what your vibe is. I will be going to Bali very soon, so I'll probably do the e-visa just to save some hassle. Now, why am I leaving Vietnam, and why am I pissed off that I have to go to Kuala Lumpur to fix my laptop? Well, first world problems. So blessed to even have a laptop that breaks, right? Let's just start with the very baseline. But I'll be honest with you, I'm pissed off because I already flew to Kuala Lumpur this year to fix the screen. I swear Apple's products have forced obsolescence, which makes no sense because my laptop was from last year. There is a term, obsolescence, where things become obsolete. Things naturally are no longer used. So an example of that would be maybe a Blu-ray, a cassette tape. These, I don't know how to use it in a sentence, but these became obsolete, right? Okay, let's go with the cassette tape became obsolete because of the CD. Forced obsolescence is very different. Forced obsolescence is basically from capitalism. It's forcing the tech, whatever it is, to not work so that you have to buy another one. It's forcing the replacement, basically, of an item. I always remember learning about this in business school, and it was the example of the light bulb. When the light bulbs came out, these light bulbs would last for something like years or months or whatever it was. It would last a really long time, but so much so that the manufacturers weren't really having a lot of repeat business because their product was too good. So what did they do? They actually changed, I'm pretty sure, the filament in the light bulb to break quicker or something like that. They changed the components of the light bulb so that it would break quicker, it wouldn't last as long, so that they could have more repeat customers. That is forced obsolescence. Now, I believe basically all tech companies do it, and even people have started to mention on Twitter, on X, that their phone quality, even on the 16, which is what I'm recording on now, seems to be getting worse now that the 17 has come out. Of course, I don't actually know if there's any truth to that, but I wouldn't be surprised. And it did get me thinking, like, actually, sometimes it is a bit pixely for me, but of course we don't actually know. That being said, the older MacBooks, like if you have an old MacBook that is still working, just keep it. Like there's no reason to upgrade, because I only upgraded my laptop because it literally died, and I had my last laptop for 4 years. Like I keep my things a long time. I like to think I take care of them. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm really strong, so I think that when I pick things up, I manhandle things. I am stronger than the average girl because I train, right? So maybe you can notice my gains. But I was at the gym the other day and I pulled down 40 kg. Like I can lift 30 kg. I can lift pretty, with my arms. With my legs, I can lift like 80 kg. So I do think maybe I kind of manhandle some things and they might break a bit sooner. Okay, sue me. But with my new laptop I got in January, I closed the lid on a paper clip. Like I had a piece of paper that I wanted to keep flat, had a paper clip on it, I closed the lid, and the lid touching, well, the screen touching the paper clip cracked a bit of the screen but made the whole screen go black. So tell me, why are we making these really sexy, nifty, light Apple MacBooks if they're just gonna break when you look at them? So I was in Bali, same thing, you're gonna have to wait 2 weeks. I'm like, honey, I'm running a business, I need my laptop. So I flew to Kuala Lumpur, got the screen changed, only for the screen to stop working again this week. So I'm pissed because this shouldn't be the case. I'm pissed because the older laptops are definitely more sturdy. And listen, no one wants a lighter laptop if it's gonna break every 5 minutes. Okay, Apple? And then the last thing about the visa run was like, I literally just left Vietnam. I flew to Bangkok because you get 45 days when you come to Vietnam with a good passport. Again, every country is different, check your country. With the UK, you get 45 days, and basically my 45 days had finished and you have to leave the country. I don't think you can extend it here like you can in Bali. You have to leave the country. I mean, at least I think you have to leave the country actually. In Bali, if you have the 30 days, you can extend, but here you actually have to leave. Now, there are companies that do visa runs. So these are the most affordable ways to do it. Basically, you get in a bus, and it's a 10-hour bus, 5 hours there, 5 hours back. So it'll be 5 hours driving you to Malaysia. They stamp stamp you out of Vietnam, they stamp you into Malaysia, out of Malaysia, back into Vietnam, and then you come back 5 hours, and you can do a visa run in a day. That costs you about $100, $50 to $100. But for me, the flight there and back to Bangkok was $100. So I was thinking, let me just fly to Bangkok. But honey, tell me, if my laptop had just broken a week earlier, I could have just flown to Kuala Lumpur and fixed my laptop then. But no, I literally went for a visa run. They gave me, actually the guy liked me this time. He gave me like well over 45 days. He gave me like 50 days or 54 days. Like he definitely gave me a lot more than usual. But now I'm gonna have to leave again, so it makes it invalid. Okay, I'm not gonna moan anymore for the rest of the episode, really. Well, that's not true. Now, for everyone saying it's unhygienic to drink a tea in the bathroom, you'd be correct. But one of the things, as a digital nomad, as a gypsy living on the road, you just do whatever you want, really. It does make me feel a bit gross drinking this in here. Let's forget this happened. How exciting. I feel like we're such good friends now. But let's talk about the truths of being a digital nomad and what that really looks like and what that means. Let's start with how I became a digital nomad. Maybe this might be interesting for some of you if you're kind of interested in getting into this sphere. Let me just tell you how I did it. It all started one cold winter's evening. Actually, that's not too far of a lie. Essentially, I was scrolling on Facebook. I just graduated from university. So I got a first class honors in international business with Spanish. And I always dreamt of going to London and having, climbing the ranks and just being a corporate girly. That was really all that I had envisioned or thought about post-university. Now, I did see my sister live that life, and I also did go to London on random trips. And when you see the people come home on those trains, their soul nowhere to be seen. Like, they look soulless. Not so much my sister, maybe a little bit my sister too on those early days, but I just remember thinking, oh, okay, this isn't it. This corporate ladder doesn't look so sexy after all, So then it really was like, okay, well, what do I do then? Like, what career would I have? I just don't even know what I'm gonna do. I always thought I'd be an entrepreneur as a dream, as an illusion, as an idea, but I just, like, how do you even become an entrepreneur? I'm from a working class family and nothing is too crazy for me. I had no step up. So how would I even do that? So even though it was a thought in my mind, how I was going to materialize this, God knew. God knows. Well, he did know, but God knows. So I'm scrolling online and I see this advert. It's so funny. It's a graphic design, become a freelance graphic design, work online, travel, whatever. So I was looking at this course and it was these two girls and it seemed really cool. And to be honest, I wonder what they're doing now because they were so ahead of the game. And it's interesting. I went into SMMA, which is social media marketing agency. So basically I run Facebook ads and AI automations for US clients. We can definitely do an episode on how to become an entrepreneur or things like that, right? Today's digital nomad. So stay seated, learn this before the next episode, but do pause this if you want to get yourself a tea, a beverage, or a cake, because I forgot to mention that beforehand. She was just yapping and I forgot to invite you for a drink. I'm so sorry. Please go get a drink, come back, I'll wait. So it's interesting that they were selling basically graphic design, become a freelance graphic design. And even though I now have been in SMMA, at the time, that kind of was a viable market. I don't think it probably could have been lucrative, but only for a shorter period of time, because then, I don't know, the internet just progressed so fast with design. When Canva came out, that kind of made a lot of things obsolete too. So anyway, I started to research them. I decided not to buy the course. I think the course was maybe anywhere between $300 to $500. I'm not totally sure, maybe even $600 to $800. But at the time, it was way too much that I was willing to spend. And now, honey, I've spent thousands on courses. I really have spent thousands on courses. Anyway, but I did start investigating into them and seeing that they were working from this co-working in Bali called Dojo. So I begin to Google Dojo co-working and it's just incredible. It was this incredible co-working. This is 2019, guys. This is 2019. This was blowing my mind. I just saw these pictures, everyone in Bali in flip-flops, cute. I saw them working with their laptops. There was kind of a couple of pictures, and then I remember as I started looking at Dojo, I found someone else who tagged Dojo, and it was this guy who did drop shipping. Was it drop shipping or was it e-commerce? He did one of those too. And actually when I first started, I started with drop shipping. I was going to do a drop shipping jewelry business. Basically I had the whole Shopify, like in 2019 I had all of this set up in Shopify. I had stock ordered to test it, but then I fell in love, and love can be so distracting. Oh my God, guys, this is gonna be like a love lesson. But seriously, that's when I say I've learned so much, because I really should have stayed on that drop shipping. I should have learned what it meant to, okay, test. I have money saved, test, iterate. Of course, we're so smart and grown now. The things I know now, oh my God, if I knew then, but c'est la vie. That's the way life is, right? Should we put our legs up? Fuck it. Yeah, so I kind of fell in love and then just ignored the whole drop shipping idea, and then I got a corporate job. But how interesting, right? So let's rewind a little bit. Let's stay on track. I'll explain everything, but let's stay chronologically in this timeline. So I found Dojo. I found this guy doing either e-commerce or drop shipping. He was working from Dojo and he actually had a couple of vlogs. So that was it. I was like, that's it. I'm there. I told my dad, I said, Dad, I know what I'm doing. I'm moving to Bali. No, Roshi, no, don't. Just go for a couple. I said, Dad, I'm moving to Bali. I'm buying a one-way ticket. I'm moving to Bali. And yeah, that's exactly what I did. I remember buying my one-way ticket to Bali, thinking, fuck. I remember my sister bought me the cutest toiletry pack. My dad didn't live at home. My mum was super absent at that time. That was also one of the reasons I left for Bali, because I couldn't have a relationship with my mum. She was super ill, self-imposed. We'll discuss in future episodes. But she was super ill and super not present. And so I couldn't stand to be in my home anymore. I had no really other option. And so I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to buy a one-way ticket to Bali and that's it. And I was looking at some accommodations, and Bali's obviously extremely cheap. You US baddies, you guys don't even know how good your economy is. You guys get paid dollar, obviously. So anywhere else, you're so wealthy. But if you were to be born on an English wage and go to the US, it's so different. The UK is almost just as expensive as America, right? So we have the same standards, the same quality of whatever the fuck, the same whatever, but our wages are like, you can't even see it. They're just so low. It's so corrupt, our country. They have not supported the people at all. That's why England is more unsafe now, because of the cost of living. So if you're from the US, you actually don't realize how well your companies pay you. So I was looking at accommodation and it was really, really cheap. But my sister said to me, Rochelle, don't be a stingy motherfucker. Okay, I don't know if you said it like that, Nats, but basically that's what she said. And Dojo actually had a welcome pack, right? So you could have 1 month, which included the co-living. You got picked up from the airport, you got a surf lesson, a yoga lesson, and a SIM card, and daily cleaning, you know? And that was about $1,000. And for me, that was a hell of a lot of money, because all the money I'd made was by myself. I was working as a barista. And then at university, I started to work at my local hospital. So it was that money that I used to actually buy the soft landing package, because my sister said, are you crazy? You've never been to Bali, you've never been to Asia, you can't speak the language. What do you mean you're going to just figure it out? Just spend the money and do the soft landing pack. So that's exactly what I did. I got picked up from the airport. I stayed in this beautiful accommodation that was owned by Dojo. I got the membership included, and I met my American boyfriend, Michael. Shout out Michael. Shout out to Mike. I call him Mike. I'm the only one that actually calls him Mike. Mike was like my first real love, like my best boyfriend even to date, and we still talk all the time. So he's such a good friend, and we're kind of each other's like backups. You shouldn't have backups, and I don't even want to have a backup, because then my real lover won't manifest. But just between you and me and him, he's a backup. Right. It was in this villa that I met this girl, Jules. And she was Kiwi, she's from New Zealand, and she was working online. This is 2019, she's working online. I'm like, wait, hold on, I was like, does your manager know you were in Bali? Like, she said, yeah. I was like, oh my God, how do I do this? It was at that moment, the light bulb just went off in my head, because obviously before I wanted to do entrepreneurship, I liked the idea of like the graphic design course, okay, working online, whatever that meant. But then knowing that she was actually employed by a company, so she wasn't an entrepreneur, she was employed by a company working online, I thought, oh my God, this is it, and it changed my life. I want to say thank you, Jules. And she even helped me, do some of my cover letters at the time. She just really, how you have people in your life that change your life. Mike was one of them, Jules was one of them, and my life started from there. So I lived in Bali for those months. COVID came. Oh my goodness, COVID came. I do remember one conversation I had with a friend at the time. I'm not going to mention her name because she blocked me, so I'm going to give her a really ugly name, although I always do love her. It really confuses to me. I have no idea why she blocked me. She was like my friend from university. I had 2 friends from university that we lived together for many years. Alyssa, that's her real name, love you Alyssa, and her little babies, Alyssa, and let's just call her Katrina. We were always friends, and every time when I did start traveling and I would come back, I would always meet up with them. But in the last year or two, when I went to message Katrina, like there was one tick. Oh, that's strange. No profile picture, one tick on WhatsApp. Girls, if you got WhatsApp, you know what that means. Blocked. So strange. So I go on Instagram, I find her brother, I can't find her profile, so I'm thinking, I have like a different account for, maybe it was for this podcast, I don't know, I had a separate account, typed in her handle, and she came up. So she blocked me on WhatsApp, she blocked me on Instagram, and literally for no reason. But haters gonna hate. But again, I do actually still love her very much. It's just very confusing to me why that ever happened. So okay, we move on, we move, c'est la vie. But I do remember being in Bali, Katrina comes to visit me, and we're in this diner, and I tell her what I've seen. seen, damn, I see these people working online. This is what I'm going to do. I'm only going to apply for these jobs. And I remember she said to me, you know, that's a really cool idea, but you know, you're probably gonna have to wait until you're a manager before they let you work remotely. You know, I just don't think that's really possible. And that was basically the conversation that we had. But I remember in my mind, even in that moment, thinking, I'm going to show you. Because the one thing that we need to learn, guys, is other people's reality is not your reality. We all live in our reality, and we are all constrained or liberated by our boundaries. There's a really great quote, which is, your limit is where your fear is. So if one person doesn't fear something, they're going to do it. But if you fear it, you're not going to do it, and vice versa. Many people told me, don't travel alone, don't go to that country. Because in their reality, that their fear was their limit. They were scared they would never do that. But honey, this is my reality. These are my stem cells. These are my genes and DNA. So I will do what I fit, what I feel is adequate, is correct, is right, what feels good to me and my intuition. From that moment onwards, I only ever applied to remote jobs. And I did get a couple good interviews that said, you know, 1 day a week in England, 1 day, and I said no. And they said, are you sure? And I said, yeah. I think it's really important to have a vision in your mind of what you want and say no to anything that isn't that. So yeah, I only applied for remote jobs, and it took me like maybe 8 months to really get a job. So I was actually living in America with Mike and his friends in this house in Cincinnati, applying to jobs, walking the dog, living a really, really amazing life. I think I always remember, you know what I mean, when you have that moment in time, it was just like living in a college house full of guys, American guys, my dream. In England and America, we have a lot of controversy. It's a lot of polarity between us. We always take the piss out of the Americans for being dumb, for being loud, for being obnoxious. You know, we make these jokes about the Yanks. And I'm in this house with all his friends, super cool guys, super intelligent, engineers, funny, outdoorsy, adventurous, all of the above. And I remember ringing my dad, and I'm like, Dad, we gotta stop making these jokes about Americans. Like, these guys are really cool. We gotta stop being so harsh. These guys are really cool and intelligent, you know? So that actually really did change my experience of the Yanks, and I still will stick up for them to this day. Eventually, I got a job. I won't say with who because confidential, but I got a job with the local council in the UK. So when I was working at university, in my spare time, in my holidays, I'd come home from university and I would work in my local hospital. Just because my mum used to be a midwife, they have a temporary staffing scheme, and she told me about this scheme where you could apply, take some tests, and if you passed, then you could be on like a roster, and you could just ring up and say, is there any shifts available, and you could just pick. So it was literally amazing. So every time I came back from university, I would ring them up and say, which jobs do you have available? And I would just do random jobs. I had one job where I was in this massive warehouse with all the patient files. This is, of course, before they were digitized, rows and rows and rows. And I had this massive list of everyone that had appointments that week in the hospital. And I would have to like look at the code, find the aisle, and just spend all day in this massive dusty warehouse collecting files. But I loved it. I listened to, I think, A Diary of a CEO, the podcast, The Diary of a CEO, whilst I was picking these notes. So I had really random jobs. I had that one. I had one where I was like typing things. I had one where my favorite one was organizing ambulances. It was so funny. I was like 18 or 19, and my team members that I was giving the work to was maybe like 40, in their 40s. So it was so absurd, but I loved it. I loved organizing the ambulances. My last job at the hospital was a trainee data analyst. So I just so happened to be doing a different job, and I thought the job was going to last me the whole of summer, and they said, oh no, this is only like a 1 month placement. So I said, oh fuck, I'm going to have to ring back up the roster because, you know, I'm saving. And the people in the office, there was two offices in one office, and the people over there really liked me. So they said, you know, let's just see what we can do. And they ended up having a position, and they just took me from one team and put me in the other. And if that's not a lesson in proximity to power, into networking, you know, you just had to be there and obviously be kind and good at your job. You know, he spoke to my manager and they saw that I was really great. So it wasn't too much of, what's it called when like the adult is famous and the young one isn't? Nepotism. It wasn't like too much nepotism. Also, look at my nails, by the way. Look at how cute. I got some polka dot nails. Really fucking cute. Loving it. Okay. So because I got a job as a trainee data analyst, I got this job as a data officer for the local council working remotely. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry it took so long, but that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I became a digital nomad. I got this job during COVID. It was in September 2020. And basically I started working for this council, doing reports, and I worked for them for 3 years. All this time traveling. So I worked for a couple of months, and then I got fed up of being in England. COVID was coming. So I said, well, lockdown was coming. COVID was already here. And I said, you know, we have a VPN. Can I work from other countries? Is that allowed? And I basically had to sign this contract with my my manager's supervisor, I suppose, who basically said, you know, I will not let anyone look at my screen when I'm working in public. You know, no one should be able to see my screen. Every night I need to put my laptop in a safe. Obviously everything is confidential, yada, yada, yada. And if it wasn't to work, then I was to come home immediately. And I said, of course, yeah, let's go. Look, sign anything. Put it in the safe. My room is the safe. So yeah, so that's basically what I did. And my first country ever remote working was Amsterdam on the way to Colombia. So me and Mike, he came to me in England. We went to Amsterdam and then we went to Colombia, and I worked for the very first time in Colombia. I was working UK hours, so I was working 3 a.m. until 11 a.m. And then at 11, the whole day was mine. I loved it. I just felt like I had unlocked the cheat code of life. I was just so happy, so content, traveling with my boyfriend, seeing these amazing countries, getting paid. Like, your girl could not ask for anything else. And yeah, so that's how my life came to be. And then I kind of did decide that I no longer wanted to be employed. So I negotiated going part-time so that I would have other hours. I took a pay cut, I went part-time, so I would have other hours to build something. And that's exactly what I did. I probably kind of wish that I was more stable in my side business before quitting my job, but like, I've always been a risk taker and I've always just been a bit crazy sometimes. I didn't do that. I just fully fucking yeeted to my own company and just left my employment. So that was interesting. And I do recommend for anyone looking for a side hustle, always make sure your side hustle makes the same amount of money, if not more. Have good money saved before you make that jump, because you don't want to be building a business out of stress. I feel like you put the wrong decision. You don't have enough capital to invest in good acquisition systems, emails, things like that, So always make sure that you have good amount of money saved before you make the jump. And we'll talk about entrepreneurship again in a different episode. Let's make this one for the nomadic girls, because this might be for the girls who want to be entrepreneurs in the future and start nomadic now, or the guys, or the gays, or anyone. But this also could just be for people who don't want to be an entrepreneur. They want the lifestyle of working online and getting paid, but they don't want to have to like make things work. It's so much easier to be employed. And I definitely, when business is rough, I definitely have days I'm like, fuck it, should I just get a normal job? But can you imagine me in a normal job? I mean, with the little time that we spent together, I'm sure you can probably imagine like, no. That's also why I wanted to make this podcast, because I just wanted a different avenue to be myself, to eventually monetize, so that I could just keep living my dream life and not have to get a 9-to-5. Guys, please don't make me get a 9-to-5. Please don't make me get a 9-to-5. So we spill some tea of what it's like being a nomad. I don't have health insurance. I don't have travel insurance. These are things that you definitely need to get. And there is a couple of nomadic insurances for people that are moving country to country. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head, but unless they sponsor me, it ain't being said. No, I'm just kidding. If I could remember it, I would, but I really can't, and I'm not going to try and search for it again because, honey, we're not being paid yet. But look up like nomadic travel insurance, health insurance. That's going to be better if you're going to go country to country. So I do recommend. Why don't I have health insurance or travel insurance? Because I'm a G, okay? I'm super strong, I'm super fit, I'm super healthy, I'm blessed and divine. And so are you, okay? I'm not going to tell you to not do these things. By standard, please go get these things. But for me personally, and in my timeline, in my reality, I am blessed and safe. Always. Also, I could fly to the UK with free healthcare. I mean, that's always at the back of my head, right? Back of my mind. And I actually did, funny enough, have a bike accident. So this is one thing about traveling. If you're coming to Asia, everyone drives scooters. Maybe I'll insert some scooter videos of me now. If you're going to travel, these are actually good tips for coming to Bali or Vietnam or Thailand. Okay, let's fucking go. So everyone is traveling by motorbike, by scooter actually. And you're probably seeing all these people thinking, damn, like how is all these Westerners driving scooters? Like, it was crazy when I first came to. You can get scooter lesson, but more importantly, if you don't want to drive a bike, stay off the roads. Like, don't be driving bikes if you don't have practice. I actually crashed into a car because I was so dumb and ignorant. I was like 21. I felt like nothing would ever hurt me. I just felt like I was living literally in a video game until I was so dumb. I went to overtake. I don't even know if I was looking. Like, I can't even remember why I overtook, obviously because I'm impatient, but I don't even know what happened. I just remember I overtook. There was a car immediately there. I didn't have time to brake. Things were in slow motion, and I was so ignorant, so in disbelief that anything could ever happen to me, that I saw this car coming. I didn't even try and hit the brakes. I just couldn't even believe. So that was a really good, sharp awakening of, honey, you're not as untouchable as you would like to believe. Yeah, so that was the first time where I was like, honey, you are not as invincible as you were, as you believe. So stay off the roads if you're not confident, okay? Take lessons, but more importantly, you don't even need to drive your own bike, because in Asia, they have the app Grab. Grab and Gojek and Bolt are gonna be your number ones. Bolt is only available in Thailand. So in Thailand, you have Grab and you have Bolt. Bolt is cheaper than Grab, but you can only get cars. You can get bike taxis cities in Asia. So let me actually explain this a little bit. So everyone is driving in motorcycles, in scooters. That is the way of life here. I fucking love it. I love driving a scooter. I'm the best scooter driver ever because of the accident I had 5 years ago. And also, when you're really fit, when you actually become a scooter driver, you move the bike with your hips. I even considered becoming like a moto GP. Like, should I train to be a motorcyclist? Because I fucking love driving a bike so much, and I'm also really good at it. Like, you just don't even understand how good I am. This is not to be cocky. This is just to like be proud of the level of skill I've developed. I'm probably better than most boys, unless they are like a seasoned motorcyclist, okay? That's the only, but if they're just a boy with many years of experience, I'm better than you, because the way these hips move, they ain't lying. But the amazing thing is, obviously all the roads are filled with these bikes. You can take car taxis, but if you're in Bali, honey, you're going to be in the queue for hours. Bali's roads are so small, and because Bali is getting so popular, there's literally just no space. They're welcoming so much tourism without actually adapting or upgrading the infrastructure. So if you were to do a 10-minute bike journey, it's going to be 30 minutes in a car. You can pretty much triple the distance, triple the time of a journey in a car in Bali when you're in these towns. Now, if you're driving between towns and you're finally out onto the motorways, it's, you know, you're gonna get a bit more ground, okay? But even then, there's bikes everywhere. Your timing is just gonna be way less. So what you can do is you can get a motorbike scooter taxi. I'm using the word motorbike and scooter here interchangeably. A scooter doesn't have gears, a motorbike has gears. Everyone drives scooters, so you can actually take your driving license if you have the mark for a scooter on the back. Sometimes they don't even check, to be honest. You can actually go give your license and you can go get a scooter, the one that has no gears. So that's actually what I drive. I haven't really ever driven a motorbike, but coming soon, who knows. So what you can do is you can actually use Grab or Gojek if you're in Bali to get a scooter taxi. And this basically means they come up on a scooter, they give you a helmet, and you literally sit on the back of the bike and they'll take you. So if I'm going to parties with friends and I'm drinking and I obviously don't want to drive, then we'll all take scooter taxis. Rather than getting one car with 4 of us, we'll get 4 scooter taxis because we're going to just get there faster and we'll see each other on the roads, we're waving. It's so funny. To summarize, in Thailand, there is 2 apps, Bolt and Grab. Bolt is for car taxis. I use this when I'm traveling. In Thailand, by the way, you can travel many places by car and you'll be fine. It really is just Bali that is super congested, super uber congested. But actually in Thailand, you could travel everywhere in a car and you're going to be absolutely fine. The roads are made up for it. You're a little bit boring though because bikes are so fun. But we don't judge. Be unapologetically yourself. It's okay. So in Thailand, you have Bolt, which is for the car taxis and is cheaper. And then you have Grab. Grab has car taxis and bike taxis, okay? You can't get a bike taxi on Bolt. Bolt only does car. Grab does both, but the cars on Bolt are cheaper than the cars on Grab. In Vietnam, you just have Grab. That's the only option, Grab. In Bali, you have Grab and you have Gojek, and both of them have the same things, which is cars and bikes, both of these, but Gojek is cheaper. Grab not only gives you cars, bike, you get food. I can get food delivered to my door in under 15 minutes for $3, including delivery. Okay, guys, I just want to highlight to my US viewers that you guys don't even understand how affordable Asia is, because I can order food, get it delivered in under 15 minutes for like $3, $4, $5. It's insane. Life out here is insane. This is why I have this beautiful bath. I don't have the hot water to fill it because this hotel literally only has 1 minute of hot water, which is so sad. I decided to get myself a little bit of a princess hotel this time round to film this podcast and just to have a nicer setting as I build business and I raise my standards. I'm trying to get used to nicer things, to kind of tell myself it's okay to spend money, it's okay to see wealth, it's okay to have nice things or nicer things. So it really is a bit of a social experiment for me. The irony is the last place I was in was 3 times cheaper and had unlimited hot water, and here it's like so beautiful, so gorgeous, beautiful bathtub, you can't even fill it up. Like it runs out of hot water before you even get to the top, before you even get a quarter full. So again, things aren't always as they seem. But to spill the tea, life is great in Asia. It's why I live over here. I do plan to go to the States next year to find my husband, or maybe I'll meet him in Bali next month, who knows. The point is, Asia is amazing and you can get Grab, food and transport basically, and the same in Bali and Thailand. All these apps deliver you food too. It's just an obscene way of living. And I do think, one, when I go back home and I have to make my own food, humbling. I eat out for breakfast, lunch and dinner in Asia. There's not one meal I cook myself. I would like to get a place with the kitchen though, because I'm not like so proud of that. I do want to be homely. I do want to make baked goods. I do want to cook extravagant meals, but when the weather is so hot and the culture is just like not like that, we just get food delivered. When I go home, I'm looking at the kitchen like, you expecting me to do something here? Ooh. But I think it's also because it's my mum's kitchen, it's super cluttered, so I'm not trying to cook anyway. Even though I'm flexing, I eat out every single meal, it's just because of happenstance, you know, it's just because I'm here, because I don't have a kitchen at the moment. ¿Qué más que vamos a hablar? No sé realmente, what else are we going to talk about? Okay, so if you're trying to make friends when you're traveling solo, obviously I started off solo traveling with my boyfriend, then I broke up with him and I haven't had a boyfriend since. Do you think in that moment, if I'd have said to myself, if you'd have told me in that moment, Rochelle, okay, you can break up with Mike, but you will be single for the next 4 years. I don't know if I would have made the decision so clean cut had I known the truth. But the thing is, that's the beauty of life. You really don't know what's around the corner. One minute I'm crying over one situationship, the next minute there's another one to cry over. Obviously I don't want to manifest that, but you know what I mean? It's kind of the irony, it's kind of the funny thing, you know, you think that you're so worked up with this moment. I was so enthralled with the Dutch boy. When I started dating the Aussie boy, I was like, oh my God, I should have higher standards. The Dutch boy was amazing and I love him still, but he really couldn't give me anything. Why was I so excited by so little? I really don't know why I'm being so honest with you guys, but I feel blessed to be able to speak with you and to have you listen so attentively and honestly and unashamedly, you know, not judging me, so thank you. This is another thing that traveling the world will do for you. Sitting down and being still, the mundane life, my brain is really not programmed for. So when you're in Asia, you can get on a motorbike, you can drive 10 minutes somewhere, have a cafe, like, you know, a cafe that you can afford everything in. You can go home, I can get anything delivered. If I'm sad, I can get a cake, I can get an Indian, I can get a Chinese, I can get anything delivered to me. And this is so obscene because obviously the Vietnamese people or the Balinese people or the Thai people, they don't live like that because again, their currency is not our currency. So we've got to be gracious with the fact that we live such crazy life. But that being said, you get so used to fast dopamine fixes that for me at least anyway, slowing down is actually really tough, and like being more present and just being happy doing nothing is actually pretty tough for me. So that's maybe the downside of digital nomadism, is that you do expect things very far. You know, here now, I'm kind of bored of Vietnam, it's rainy season, I'm just going to fly to Bali. Like I'm going to Bali in 10 days because I can. And I think the people will be cooler. I'm kind of ready to try Bali out again, see if I have a better experience this time. My last time was great, but full of a lot of lessons, a lot of tribulations. They always say Bali is like Gaia, like Mother Nature. It brings up very strong emotions when you go to Bali. They're really good, really never really negative, but super introspective, super timeline shifting. So yeah. So let's do quick fire pros and cons of the digital nomad lifestyle. Pros: affordability, quality of lifestyle, instant food, instant transport, instant adventure, instant opportunity. There's all the people that I've met that are entrepreneurs I've met in Asia. Not to say, of course, there's not entrepreneurs everywhere else. I left England because I don't align with the values. When I go back to England, I'm just so different to everyone there. The things that they joke about, the things that they talk about, what they're interested in, it's like I could care less. And if you feel the same way about your hometown, maybe it's time for you to leave, girl. It's time for you to leave. In the last episode, I did reflect on what it would have been like if I stayed in my hometown, but I would be way less adventurous, and I just really wouldn't be the person that the vibrancy that I have today. It would just be a bit more corporate coded. It would just be a bit more dull, a bit more English. It wouldn't be so extravagant. You know, the real flares of my personality come from all the countries I've visited, all the people that I've met that have shown me little windows into their life. That is a great thing about being single, because if I had been with Mike, I would not be where I am today, and he knows that too, of course. And if, you know, when you have a boyfriend, you're not meeting people. So actually being single this whole time has allowed me to actually build a business, meet guys that have given me business knowledge. Guys love to give business knowledge. That's the one benefit that we have. If you're a guy, it's really hard to, not so hard, but you know, men are less likely to share information with who they see as their competition, which is typically other males. But a female in a male thing, they'll share it with you. Oh, here's the information for free. So you do get some perks. And Layla Hormozi actually was the one that did bring that to my attention. I thought, you know what, that's actually right. But yes, the type of people that you meet, I mean, I remember I went to Bali. Bali was the very first country that I went to after I bought my one-way ticket to Bali. Of course I didn't have a job, but I was staying at the co-working and I was seeing these people, and it was the first time I really had connection with people. I felt like in my hometown I had friends. I don't know, we did connect, I suppose, but it was being in Asia, walking around barefoot, running on the beach. Did I do any mushrooms back then? I think I was too young to do magic mushrooms then. I'm like, when was the first time I did magic mushrooms? I tried one time at a festival in England with my friend Eve. They didn't work. Love you, Eve. So when was the first time that it really worked? Maybe in Thailand with a Lithuanian boy. And that was a really, really strong trip too. Really, really cool trip. But anyway, when I was in Bali, when I first went, there was no shrooms there because I was too young. I was innocent. She was an innocent lady. Oh my God, maybe we should have one episode about drugs. I'm actually quite interested about that. I think we should definitely do one episode about drugs. So the benefit is the people that you get to meet. These people aren't your typical people. They're going against the grain. You get to have a lot of inspiration. You might meet people back at home, but these people are making moves, and not just financially. I mean, lifestyle, education. These people just are go-getters. The people that are in Bali, now it's more commercial, right? There's actually everyone and their mum in Bali. back then, or even a couple of years ago, it was like, if you're in this part of the world, there is something different to you. You haven't just stayed in the West. You're open to new experiences. You're very adaptable and versatile. And I think that the benefits of being a digital nomad is that there's no limit to what you can explore, to what you can learn, to who you can meet, the things that you can try. It's really a limitless opportunity. Let's speak about the cons. What are the negatives of digital nomadism? From my opinion, of course, it's going to be the cost of flight, visas. You would be paying this with mortgages anyway. If I was back home, I'd have a mortgage. I don't have a mortgage. I'm household free. Some days I do regret that. All the money that I've spent here, I could have had a house in the UK. But again, everything happens for a reason. And I'm going to be sad at my house in the UK. I'd rather be sad in a beautiful hotel. Sometimes I do feel pressure because I do see my friends buying houses, getting married. But ultimately, everyone has their own timeline. We are on our own path. If you resonate and you feel a little bit behind between your peers, just know you're a different specimen, honey. And so things take a little time. It's like water boils at 100, but oil boils faster. It doesn't mean one's better than the other. It just means they're different, honey, and just as powerful. So yeah, that's also a nice little reminder to both of us that it's okay that things take a little longer, a little bit different, or they don't look so usual, because we are different, darling. We are born different. But the cons are going to definitely be loneliness. If you do not surround yourself with really great people, it can be lonely. I'm kind of feeling that here a little bit in Vietnam. I haven't really tapped in too much to the community this time around. I'm definitely feeling it. Different countries offer different things, so that's why I feel like, okay, I've had enough of Vietnam. Vietnam's a bit more of a sleepy town, and there's entrepreneurs here for sure. There's a big entrepreneur hub, but some of them, in my experience, are typically older or lone wolves. Bali really is a place for collaboration. The quantity of people in Bali is a lot bigger, but then you do get, people in Vietnam are very down to earth, very gritty, because Vietnam is a bit off the beaten track until you see places like this, the beach. You think, damn, this could have been Miami. But to the people that have never been here, Vietnam does seem, a bit off the beaten track. So the people that you meet in Vietnam are really cool. They might be entrepreneurs, but they're really cool. They're really grounded. They kind of got that grit. When you go to Bali, Bali's very aesthetic, very beautiful, very Instagram. The people there are a bit more pretentious, in my opinion, and that doesn't really align so much with my soul. So it's kind of why I like both of them. They're like the yin and the yang. But because I'm kind of yearning for connection now, to be a little bit less bored here, I will forego the pretentiousness and just, connect with level-headed people. Okay, cons, Rochelle, please stay on track. Flights, visas, maybe vaccinations, but really they're not so crazy. Loneliness, maybe, but again, you could be lonely anywhere in the world, but I am experiencing a bout of loneliness currently, so I have to put it out there, I have to be honest. Loneliness. Sometimes you get homesick. Depends if you really love your home or not. Sometimes you do get homesick. Maybe you go somewhere. I remember going to this restaurant with people in my house, and this girl's like, this is not a spaghetti bolognese, there is no mince in. And I'm thinking, honey, you're in Indonesia, okay? We're not in Italy. Things are going to be a little bit different. Your home comforts are going to be a little bit different. For me, that's not a con. I did not come here to be in England. I didn't fly halfway across the world to experience England. So, oh my God, I think I'm getting a bit sassy towards the end of this podcast episode. I hope you guys forgive me. But yeah, so cons, things, we're not in your hometown. But honestly, what are the cons of digital nomadism? For me, honestly, I think the biggest thing is just loneliness if you're not tapped in. Like, I've been doing this for a long time now. Sometimes I meet people, they say, when are you going to settle down? But honey, I don't even know where I want to settle. It's kind of like when I tried to get that job, and when I tried to graduate university, I'm like, honey, I don't even know what I want to do. So I just think that for me, home has always been a person, a feeling. Other people are going to be very different to this. They're going to think home is our physical home, and that's totally okay. But I grew up English. My mom's from Tobago, my dad's from Tenerife, so I would fly to Tobago, I'd fly to Tenerife. I didn't have my grandma down the road. My grandma was always 8 hours by plane or 4 hours by plane. I never had, I did have my great grandma. I love you, she's deceased now. I never had my grandma down the road. I had my grandma in Tobago who was an 8-hour flight away, or my grandma in Tenerife who was a 4-hour flight away. So I did not have a typical upbringing with my parents being together, or my grandma being down the road, or my cousin being, it wasn't like that. It was just us and our unit, and we would travel. We were always traveling as a family to different places. So that's why I think for me personally, home is the people. It's a feeling of peace. And so that's why I think when I travel, if I don't have the people, that's when I start to feel very lonely. And I kind of hope, well, this is going to happen now. Let's just manifest this right now. I will meet my husband, and he will be my boyfriend first. He's not going to marry me while I'm asleep. Depends if he's cute. Might let him. Okay, let's stay on the line of consent, guys. So I suppose when people ask me, are you going to settle down? I'm just kind of waiting to meet a person that makes me want to choose a country, because life is fun. And I was thinking about this. I took myself on a drive yesterday. I love to drive, obviously, so I'm driving around the landscape and I'm thinking this is so beautiful and life is so fun, but it's kind of boring when you have no one to share it with. Like, I'm actually a bit bored of being single. Like, I want to have someone consistently that we can adventure together. Like, I just keep going back to the same places because, yeah, I could take a trip to Sweden and maybe I should, right? But I'm really just waiting to meet my one so we can go on all these crazy adventures together. I don't really want to do anything super crazy alone. But then again, my limit is where my fear is. So who knows? Yes, so the con, I suppose, is not having a home base, but if you become a digital nomad, that's literally the point. Only to say, as a seasoned veteran at this craft of doing it for 6 years, it does get a little old. Probably not as old as living in England every day, but it does make me feel like I want to share this experience with someone now, because life is just a series of moments and it can be great alone, but sometimes you do get a bit fed up. So that's the pros and cons list, which is basically a fat list of pros and a very small list of cons. I really can't think of anything else. If you go to Bali, don't drink the tap water. You'll get severely ill. I had Bali belly, that's what they call it, for like 4 days and I lost like 5 pounds. Looked great in a bikini, but I could not leave the bathroom for more than 5 minutes across those 4 days. It was brutal. Now, to meet people, okay, obviously I've done the pros and cons, but let's, like, how would we get over loneliness? How should I get over the loneliness I'm feeling? And that really is connections. See if there's any WhatsApp groups. Facebook groups are a really big hack, by the way, guys. Where do you book? Agoda, booking.com, Airbnb. Fun fact, if you're in the country and you find it on booking.com, drive to the hotel and say, is it cheaper if I book with you or should I book on the app? Sometimes you can get rid of the booking fee if you book directly with them. Sometimes it's cheaper to book on the app because there's a discount on booking.com side. The same with Airbnb. If it actually has an address, or sometimes what I'll do, if there's pictures, you could do reverse Google search the picture, find the hotel and WhatsApp them. Guest houses, perfect place in Bali to stay. Guest houses are basically a villa with a pool, hopefully, and lots of bedrooms. And everyone has their own bedroom in a guest house. They share the pool, you share the kitchen, and you just have this massive villa with all of your friends or people that you get to meet. It's an excellent way to meet people and beat loneliness, is to stay in a guest house. In Vietnam, they don't really have the communities like that, which is why I'm in a hotel at the moment and I'm feeling more isolated. But when I go to Bali, for sure, I will stay in a guest house. I'm going to meet other people, and then eventually I could probably meet someone. We can just get an apartment together or something like that. I forgot to say, a con of being a digital nomad is in Asia, you can get massages for $8 and they change your life. So let's just summarize a little bit, okay? So we've done the pros and cons. The biggest con, obviously, being loneliness. The pros being literally absolutely everything else. We've spoken about visa runs, making sure to check your passport and the country that you're going to, if you need to get a visa before you arrive so you don't stay in the queue, or can you just get a visa on arrival? When I travel to Thailand, I just get a visa on arrival. So it kind of depends. If you're going to stay somewhere for 1 year, you can apply for a formal visa, so that way you don't have to keep leaving the country. But if you're doing short-term travel, then just leaving the country or extending works well. Explore the visa options based on what you're looking for. It's okay, you have time, plan accordingly. I've talked about the apps, the perfect apps that you need: Grab, Gojek, Bolt. These apps are going to change your life. It's how everyone gets around in Asia. It's how you get your food in Asia. You can get things from the pharmacy. You can get milk, Diet Coke. You can get literally anything delivered to your house in under 15 minutes. It is insane. I know my ancestors watch me indulge in all this really fast dopamine, and they are just so confused about the timeline. But here we are living it. They're probably like, girl, why are you in the bathtub? And what else? Okay, I'm like, is there any other hacks? I'll tell you what, I'll finish on some good careers for digital nomadism, I think, in my opinion, just to give you a good leg up. So I applied on Indeed.com, not sponsored. Indeed.com, there's actually an option when you do job type or location, you can put remote only, and that's exactly what I was doing. I was first looking for customer service. I was doing customer service remote only. So make sure to use Indeed, remote only. You can do customer service. I would say data analytics. I really do think data analytics is really good to get into. Sometimes you do need a degree, so you're going to have to look at these things. With customer service, you don't really need a degree. Data, you might, but great remote jobs. Anything like IT, tech support, customer queries, customer success, anything that obviously doesn't need to be physically in person. But to be honest, if you're not too sure, just type in, go to Indeed, make it remote only, and just see what comes up. And then see which jobs take your interest, look at the requirements, and if you don't currently have the requirements, then work backwards. Go and get that experience, because in your mind, oh, this job exists. So if you also don't know what to do, this is probably what I would suggest. Go on Indeed. There are other job sites available. I just don't know about them. But of course, there are specific remote job sites too. So make sure you're looking everywhere, okay? But Indeed is where I got my first remote job. You do remote only, see what comes up, see what takes your pick, and fucking, it's a numbers game. It took me 8 months to get a job, guys. So I don't know what it's like now, but you know, have faith, keep going. You can do it. I believe in you. Just stay open-minded and positive and affirm it. I used to swim. I was visiting my dad at the time. I would swim underneath in the pool, and in my head I would go, I am a remote worker. I am a remote worker. I am a remote worker. And I would do skipping because I was trying to lose weight. I just spat there. I was skipping, and I would, in my head, I would go, I am a remote worker. I am a remote worker. I am a remote worker. So I hyper-fixated on my goal, and I turned down everything else that wasn't it. I turned down every job that said, well, just one day. No. Stay true to what you want, and the path will unfold in front of you. Thank you guys so much for today's episode. I love you all. I'm so excited to record more things. Please let me know what you're interested in. Leave me a review on Google. Wait, you can't do that. Leave me a review on Spotify, comment on YouTube, follow me on Instagram. All the links are in the description. I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining me in the bath. Thank you guys for joining me in the bath. Love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. And maybe it might be from a chair. Bye. Okay, and this one. Are you still recording, my friend?